Michael Stipe surprised a New York City crowd. There's a new movie set against the Montreal music scene. Morrissey's new album actually came out. I'm Dave. I'm here with Amanda and Bill, and we'll talk all that and more this week on BV Weekly. And hey guys, if you were listening to that intro, then you noticed Andrew's name was not in it. Big news this week, which is Andrew. We kind of previewed this, but Andrew is officially, I won't say sadly, because happily for him, on parental leave. So Andrew will be taking a few weeks off of this podcast while he gets to know his little baby boy. Was that a spoiler? I don't know. But congrats, Andrew.
Yes,
Hey,
congrats.
Big congrats to Andrew.
And now you listeners get to know Amanda and myself a little more.
Yes. And, you know, regular attendees of this podcast as well. Always great to have Bill and Amanda here. And yeah, did you guys, I realized the other day that Morrissey's new album actually came out. Prolific show canceller Morrissey has released a new album last week called Makeup is a Lie. And for some reason, I couldn't find anything about that in the media, allegedly, according to Morrissey anyway.
Yeah. Makeup is a Lie came out last Friday, and I don't know, it's most notable probably because it's his return to Sacher Records, the label that released all the Smiths albums in North America and all of Morrissey's early and, in my opinion, best solo work. I'm not 100% sure on this, but Sacher Records hasn't been an active label in a long time, and I think this might be their first release in years. If you go to the Sacher website, it's the Morrissey album's the only thing on the website. And I kind of wonder if, when talking to Warner Brothers, he asked them to revive Sacher Records just to put out this record. I'm not sure. And as Dave said about he finally released a record, you may remember that his album Bonfire of Teenagers was supposed to come out on Capitol Records in 2022, but it got postponed and then shelved and remains unreleased. That was the record that was produced by super producer Andrew Watt, who's worked with the Stones and Pearl Jam and lots of other people, and it featured guest appearances by Iggy Pop, Flea, and more. Maz has had trouble finding a label willing to deal with him ever since. So yeah, that's sort of where we are. I will admit I've only heard the title track, and I will probably give the record a listen, but I haven't been following Morrissey's career that closely in a while.
I did actually listen to it in full the other day, and it's fine, whatever. But yeah, okay, you cleared up one thing. Well, maybe you didn't fully clear it up, but one thing I definitely noticed is there's constantly news items like Morrissey may release an album, Morrissey's not going to release an album. But one of the constants in all those news stories, it's always like all these guests are going to appear on the Morrissey album. And then guests will be like, whoa, whatever Morrissey said, that's not true. I'm not on that album. And no one wants to be associated with Morrissey right now. And sure enough, this album came out with 0 guests. So that was one of the things I noticed.
And I was going to say, according to Morrissey, it also came out with 0 promotion. He's actually asked people on his Instagram account to please buy an extra copy to support Morrissey at this time of full media censorship. He says he's received 0 radio play and no television media requests.
Well, I can say for sure that I have gotten press releases about this album, so he gets some media stuff. If you Google the album, there are posts about it coming out. I don't know about how many reviews, though. Pitchfork gave it a 6.1, I think.
I mean, that isn't right. Like Morrissey is not wrong. Nobody wants to touch him right now, whether that is media, radio. If you have Morrissey on your show, people are going to start to ask questions about you. He's not totally wrong, to be fair, but he also is wrong. Like you said, even Pitchfork would review the album. I feel like that's even a little new. I don't know. A few years ago, they may not have reviewed the album.
I can't remember if they reviewed his last one or not, but
well, with the last one, was he known for bad things on the last one.
Well, yeah, I think probably for the last 10 years, he's sort of fallen out of favor a little bit. And some people would argue it goes all the way back to the 90s. But
Huh.
um, yeah, I think, for the last, at least since 2019 or 18, somewhere in there, he's had some problems. Though I went to see him when he did that Broadway run in 2019. And I will admit I enjoyed the show. But I have sort of stopped being like an active um, person who follows Morrissey since then, though nothing he does can take the Smiths away from me.
Yeah, I think you going in 2019 means it was still safe to see Morrissey in 2019. At some point, it became like a full-on cancel culture thing, and now I feel like we're kind of post the cancel culture moment where it's like it's safe to review Morrissey now because, you know, relatively speaking, it was just a little politics, and so people are like, well, he's still the guy from the Smiths, so we'll still take his new music seriously. It's not as toxic. And that's why, yeah, like even Pitchfork giving it a 6.1. That's why I was a little, it almost feel like a few years ago that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. I did look up the British charts this week, which they don't come out, I don't think, until tomorrow, Friday or Saturday. But the album is currently in the midweek charts, which is a thing that they release in England. He was at number 2, so that's pretty good for Morrissey these days.
Doesn't sound super censored to me.
No. Other things about Morrissey, he's become known for the last, I don't know, 15 years or so for canceling shows. And last night, Thursday night, he was supposed to play Valencia, Spain, but he canceled because he couldn't sleep. There was a techno festival that kept him awake in his hotel, so he was too tired to play the show.
Same old Morrissey.
Yep.
Only Morrissey.
Yeah. I should also add that Robbie Williams' new album, which came out about a month ago, it's called Britpop, and it actually has a song called Morrissey that he co-wrote with his former Take That bandmate Gary Barlow, and it's a very Robbie Williams sounding song. I don't know. I listened to it right before we started taping. It's fine, just like Morrissey.
So in other kind of classic indie rock news, we had a big moment this past week in New York City. Actor Michael Shannon and Jason Narducci's R.E.M. tribute show has been touring. They've been doing this for a few years. I think we've talked about it on this show before. And they had a show at Brooklyn Steel this past week. What album were they doing on this?
Life's Rich Pageant.
Right. And, I don't know. Some people may always hope this is going to happen when they come through New York City. I forget if it's happened in the past. Remind me. But
It happened last year.
Yeah, exactly. So Michael Stipe himself came out again to sing R.E.M. with the band, paying tribute to him. Tell me a little bit more about what happened.
He came out and sang These Days, which is on Life's Rich Pageant. And I think it was the first time he had sung that song since R.E.M. broke up. And then he came back for the encore to do Great Beyond, which is the song from Man in the Moon, the Andy Kaufman biopic.
So obviously a really special moment for people who were there, and has me wondering, Michael Stipe's still willing to sing some R.E.M. songs. Will he sing them with the rest of R.E.M.?
The whole band was reunited last year, actually, in 2025 in their hometown of Athens, Georgia, with Michael Stipe on mic with them.
Oh, yeah, they
Right.
played Pretty Persuasion.
Yeah.
Right, at that show. So, okay. So this is the second time this happened. Last time was in Athens, this time in New York. And yeah,
Well,
so
this time was not the whole band. It was just Stipe joining.
Michael Stipe lives in New York, and I think he did it last year, too, at Brooklyn Steel.
He did, yes.
Okay.
Only Athens has gotten like the full reunion.
come on, R.E.M. Let's get the full reunion going.
Right? Like not that there have been any rumors, but it just to me, it feels like it's not a band where you go, oh, they will never perform together again. They, you know, they hate each other. Like they perform together.
They
Like
don't hate each other, but I don't think that they have any desire to do the reunion tour thing. There was a couple years ago where they reunited for something in
Was that when they did Losing My Religion? It was the Songwriters Hall of Fame thing.
that's what it was, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel
But
like the Oasis reunion really shifted my outlook about reunions a little bit. I feel like I've been extremely skeptical about many reunions, and I still am. But after Oasis, I'm kind of like, well, maybe this could happen. But yeah, it probably won't.
I mean, Bill Berry definitely I don't think would never actually tour with them again. He's played with them a few times over the years, like at in Athens and at the Songwriters Hall of Fame and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but he bowed out of touring a long time ago, and I think he wouldn't do it. As far as the rest of them, Mike Mills and Peter Buck might, but I'm not sure about Michael Stipe. He seems happy to be a New York City art gadabout type person, and that's enough.
Also, Stipe has that album in the works that has been, being kind of teased for a while. So hopefully that will emerge at some point.
Possibly, yeah. He's been working on it for like 15 years.
Between Stipe and Courtney Love and their long in the work solo albums.
Yeah, and they're. I could totally see a Michael Stipe Courtney Love duet. They're pals, so
Let's do
I'm
it.
here for it.
Yeah, I would love to make this happen. If you're listening, Michael, Courtney, let's make it happen.
in the meantime, these Michael Shannon, Jason Narducci shows are fun. I have friends that are like, "That's the greatest thing I've ever seen," and I'm just like, "Yeah, it's good, but they're a cover band, you know."
Wait, did you go?
I didn't go to this one, but I went to the very first year.
Oh yeah, okay.
I'm kicking myself a little bit just because Life Search Pageant is my favorite record, but yeah, I don't know. Once was enough, I thought.
I feel you. I was never like the hugest REM fan, so it hasn't even occurred to me to want to go to a tribute show, but I do like Michael Shannon a lot. I like REM too, but I just watched Death by Lightning, his new show. That was the 4-part miniseries. What's it on Netflix? Where he plays President Garfield. It's pretty good.
It
Pretty
was
good.
good.
Yeah.
Well, one more thing about Shannon and Narducci. Brooklyn Vegan contributing photographer Edwina Hay went to the Brooklyn show, and her pictures and her video footage of Stipe joining them are both on brooklynvegan.com and our social media.
Go check it out. And hey, I just want to send our love to Jello Biafra, who is hospitalized after suffering a stroke. The outspoken legendary ex-frontman of Dead Kennedys said in a statement, "I hopped out of my bed because I needed to pee, and my left leg just collapsed under me, and I fell to the floor. I couldn't even break the fall with my left arm because it wasn't working either. I tried to hop back up again, and I couldn't. I realized I had fallen, and I can't get up." Good reference there. It was at this point I thought, oh shit, I'm having a stroke. I'm trying not to try to do a Jello impression here. I still have a lot of great stuff in me, but right now I got a lot of rehabbing to do. So anyway, we just want to say get well soon, Jello. This news also just came out like days after I saw Jello in a new documentary about Joe Keithley, the frontman of legendary Canadian punk band D.O.A, who became a politician. That documentary, I definitely recommend it. It's coming out on like the streaming services VOD in April. I went to a special screening of it at Nighthawk in Williamsburg, and which was with the director Scott Crawford. You might know Scott Crawford from his other documentaries, Salad Days, which is about the DC punk scene, and the documentary about Cream magazine. And so Scott Crawford was there, and they had a Q&A. He introduced the movie Jackrabbit of The Big Takeover, who, legendary music journalist and super old friend of Joe Keithley of D.O.A. He was part of the Q&A, and they had Joe actually call in. He wasn't there in the audience. He lives in Canada as a politician, as the movie lays out, but he called in on Zoom. So that was pretty cool. Like, we had just seen the documentary about him, and then they put him up on Zoom on the movie screen, and Jack Rabbit and Scott like interviewed him, and they told some more stories. They talk about how Jello, who also became a politician, and Keith are great friends. Dave Grohl, Duff McKagan, Keith Morris, some of the usual suspects are also in this documentary. Check it out.
That's not premiering at South by Southwest this week, is it, Dave?
No, I don't think so. No.
Yeah, South by Southwest is going on right now. We're not there, but it's rolling on with all the different sections of the festival, which used to be more spread apart, are now all at the same time, right?
So South by Southwest now has, film, tech, music. They're all happening at the same time.
Because the convention center is undergoing renovations, so they don't have use of that this year, and that's usually like the hub of everything. So it is a bit of a reimagined South by Southwest. I don't fully understand the exact format of how it's working, but yes, it's going to be a little different this year, I believe.
So I do think that, well, first of all, it's already happening. Just for those listening, it is happening as we speak. But I think the convention center thing and the new format are just kind of coincidence, both creating total chaos in the same year, because they just want to have all three happen. We'll see if they keep this format, but
Right.
yeah, all three happening at the same time now is. People were calling it the death of South by Southwest music, and South by Southwest came back like, no, that's not what we're saying. We're just saying they're all happening at the same time now.
And the South by Southwest Music Festival the South by Southwest Festival always has lots of music related movies. And there's one that's very central to Brooklyn Vegan, I feel like. It's a new movie called Mile End Kicks. It's a indie rom-com that's set against the Montreal music scene of the late aughts and early 2010s. It's directed by Chandler Levac, who based it on her own life, and it stars Euphoria's Barbie Ferreira as a young writer who moves to Montreal to write a book about Alanis Morissette, but soon becomes swept up in the music scene and also becomes involved in a love triangle with two members from the same band. The trailer just came out this week. It comes out on April 17th, the same day as she's actually got two movies coming out on the same day. She's got a movie for Netflix that's under Adam Sandler's like deal with Netflix called Roommates. Both those movies are coming out the exact same day. I really like Chandler's 2023 debut. It's called I Like Movies, so I'm looking forward to this. I Like Movies was actually scored by Montreal musician Murray Lightburn from the Deers. I'm not sure who scored the soundtrack to this one, but Tops recorded two songs for the film. I'm looking forward to finding out more about what music is actually in that film and seeing it too. I know Chandler a little bit. I met her at Pop Montreal maybe 10 years ago, and we've stayed in touch ever since. So I've been following her career from music and film writer into actual filmmaker, and it's been pretty inspiring.
Yeah, this movie couldn't seem more relevant to our interests.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest rom-com fan, but watching the trailer definitely gave me warm fuzzies, definitely brought me back to that era. It seems really good. Definitely going to have to see it.
The only disappointing thing about the trailer was it was soundtracked to MGMT's Time to Pretend, which is it's very like on the nose thematically, but you would have thought they could have gotten some Montreal band from that era.
Exactly.
Speaking of Montreal, Dave.
Yeah, so like I said, South by Southwest is happening right now. We would usually be at it. If this was any other year for like the past 20 years, not counting COVID, right now I would be like, I don't know how I'm doing this podcast. I'm on my way to South by Southwest. I still have 10 bands to book for our show that's happening tomorrow. That's our usual South by Southwest year, but this year Brooklyn Vegan is sitting it out, which also means we do not have a showcase partnered with our good friends from M for Montreal. M for Montreal is a festival that is kind of like more industry leaning festival, but also for people who live in Montreal that happen. I shouldn't even be saying this. Bill is the expert here. That happens every year in the fall in Montreal, in Canada, where a whole bunch of Canadian bands, especially ones from Montreal, all play to the public, but also to music industry people who fly in from all over the world
Yeah.
to see what's going on in Canadian music. One of those people who goes every year is Bill Pearis, who's here with us on this podcast. And when we do shows at South by Southwest with them from Montreal, we partner with them. They kind of like a sponsor of our shows, and we choose our favorite Montreal bands to be on the lineup, which is not hard at all because we love so many Montreal bands, to go along to make sure Montreal has a presence on our lineups that are otherwise non-Montreal bands. So we actually this year at M for Montreal, they had a certain band who is very viral now playing. And so we invited Mikey onto the podcast to ask him about that. And we have the full version of this interview over at our BV Interviews podcast.
Yep.
But we took out some choice parts right now for you here on BV Weekly. So without further ado, here is Bill and I's chat with Mikey, and we'll be right back after. We are very excited to be joined by our longtime friend, Mikey Poutine Rishwain. How do you say your name?
It's Mikey B. Rishwain. Mikey Rishwain Bernard, to be exact, aka.
So some people just call you M for Mikey.
M for Mikey is a big one. Yeah. Some people on the West Coast just call me Mikey B. The French people call me Mickey a lot. I love it. It sounds so good. Mickey.
Podcasting makes you realize things like that you've known someone for over 15 years and maybe never had to say their last name out loud before.
Yeah, I saw you pause there when you're like, we got our friend Mikey. Oh, how do we say it? Rishwain.
Yeah. We are talking about none other than Angine Poitrine. Did I get that pronunciation right?
No, we talked on the phone yesterday. He got it. He had 3 different ways to say it yesterday, but it's Angine de Poitrine. Bill says it well. Bill's French accent is spot on.
Let me see, Bill. Let's hear it.
Angine de Poitrine.
All right, that's what happens when you go to Montreal 20 times. You start to be...
Angine de Poutine, Dave. It's Angine. And they also made a typo in an email that I saw, and it's written Poutine instead of...
Oh, so it's not just me that name associates them with Montreal's favorite snack.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. But yeah, I could only tell people are gonna start confusing that. But yeah,
what does it mean?
Angine de Poitrine. Poitrine is a chest. Angine, I really don't know. I know that there's a cookie called Angine cookies, but it has nothing to do with cookies. So Poitrine has to do with chest. I really don't know what Angine de Poitrine means.
So
that's just mysterious. It's like the band, you know.
Yeah, you did say chest, and apparently someone wrote that they did name themselves after the medical condition angina pectoris, angine, angine.
Got it.
I think in the US we say angina for like a heart condition. I could be wrong.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, angine pectoris, chest pain, it means literally. But yes, this is the band who you've seen the videos. They are polka dotted, fully in costume, playing mathrock, a duo. You can't miss them. Everybody that sees the video is just immediately blown away. And this band is just blowing up, which is crazy. And my first time seeing them was, Mikey, in your Instagram stories from Montreal.
Yeah.
I got to admit, I was like, that looks fun and that is interesting. It didn't cause me to look further, though. I just remember that. I'll never forget seeing that Instagram story, especially now. But I was just, it made me think of a band from the 2000s called Yip Yip. Do you guys remember that? They were like a costume duo as well, also with like a black and white coloring. So, part of me was just like, oh, this wacky band in Canada, look at that. Didn't think about it again. But then over the next few months, this band starts popping up in my feed more and more, and I didn't like fully make the connection, but it was actually a KXP session that they recorded. All right, here's the confusing part. They're French Canadian. KXP is an American, US radio station, but they recorded a KXP session in France, and that video from that session officially went viral in like February 2026. And this is when this band just completely blew up. You know, I don't know if we can give TikTok credit. I just think just the internet and algorithms in general and KXP's video in general, maybe TikTok. But now this band is huge. They just sold out 2 nights at LPR here. Speaking of French words, I'm not going to try to pronounce. We call it
Le Poisson
LPR
Rouge.
here in New York City. That venue, what's that? That's got to be 500 cap room.
It's about a 500 cap room, and it's so far it's their first and only U.S. shows, and first shows outside of Canada or France, as far as I know.
Yeah, everything is selling out too. That's one thing I heard, that like, yeah, they're continuously like trying to reschedule bigger venues instead, because
Right.
it's happening.
So, Mikey, I know that they've been around for a little while. When did they first hit your radar, and at what point did you decide that 2025 was going to be their year for M?
Yeah, well, the first time I just saw it go by, I didn't take it seriously. I didn't take
Yeah.
it seriously. I thought it was cool visually. I thought it was just an art project or something. I didn't think it was really. I didn't even think the music had anything to do with the guys. I just saw this weird art and artwork from their records too, and that's when I saw, okay, it's an actual product. Okay, so it's a band. Uh, yeah, and then I heard like a rumor that, oh, they've been around for 20 years, but no one knows about them. They're just stuck up in North Quebec in a very small segregated area from Montreal. It's called Saguenay, and it's very high up there. And then I come to find out it's actually Win Butler and Regine from Arcade Fire.
I
Um,
was going to make a joke and ask you if it was true that it was members of the
It is.
Scale.
They're just trying to cover their identity because of all the bullcrap, all the trouble that Win got into. So Regine is scolding him by wearing this mask and say, "You're going to play music and no one's going to know who you are." And you look at him and you're like, "Oh my God, it's him." And sometimes I think Regine, when they're fighting, it's Jeremy who takes over on the drums. You can tell when Jeremy is, because he's got broader shoulders.
All right.
This makes too much sense. But I
No,
didn't really
that's
know
not
that
true.
that Win was so skilled at microtonal instruments. That's
That's
the
not
part.
true. That's false. This is not true. And the honest to God truth is they've recently just they've been pointed out like who they are, their identities, and they're very disturbed by it. And I personally, like, when I saw their masks and stuff, I don't want to meet them. I don't want to know
No.
who they are. I'm going to leave that mystery be. And if they don't want to show their face, that's probably them saying something, right? And I was right. Yesterday, I was talking to somebody very close to them. And they're like, no, they don't want anyone to know about their private lives. They're normal dudes. They're like normal as normal can be in Saguenay, Quebec, which is, you're totally like, it's almost Alaska to us, you know? It doesn't make sense because they are just so, wow. Like Frank Zappa would approve, obviously. And I think there's just something happening right now in Quebec. There's an immense sort of pride, especially in that area. Everyone is just overexcited that they're being recognized and they're being looked at. You know, their band from their hometown is blowing up as we speak. But no one knows who they are. We'll leave it at that. They've got some moniker names there. But I got to book them after I found out they started playing shows, and it was good. A coworker in a meeting was like, "Hey, this Angine band has just played this festival," and people were talking about it. It was like a small festival or something. And I went back to their music, and 12 seconds into like their music in the meeting, I said, "Let's book them right away." 12 seconds. I was like, it brought me back to, like, I'm not name dropping, but I grew up in the Sacramento area with Zach Hill and that whole Hella experience. And I remember that Hella experience just reprogrammed me. I thought I was a music guy back then, but nah, like that's first Hella show at Capitol Garage in Sacramento re-screwed my brain again. I don't know. I was trying to find myself, and it feels like that day changed my life. And that's the same kind of feeling I had when I started discovering Angine de Poitrine. Not really reminding me of that, but I think people will feel that. I think it's new, it's fresh, and I think it's going to stick around for a long time. It's original, and it's not Insane Clown Posse or Slipknot like some people might think, but just some good old French Canadians. So they are still independent, and they're a little like they're taking this a little with stride right now, but they're not experienced in this. It's all too fast, and they just want to live their lives right now and like appreciate what's going on. But it's kind of crazy. Like I don't want to tell you like who's in their inbox right now, but it's happening. But they just need to step back. And I asked them, why aren't you going to South by Southwest? And they're like, it's just too much happening. I said, well, this is a perfect time for that, to get heard and get seen. And they're like, I think we're doing that already. I think they've already got enough going on. And I think they just maybe want to take a step back because they know it's going to be a busy year and it just started off too fast. So expect them to be doing a lot more. But so far, they told me all their US and Canadian shows are sold out, or especially in Quebec, they're all sold out.
If South by Southwest was smart, they would offer these guys plane tickets, hotels, and money and get them to Austin next week. I
know, man. Look, they were considering it for a minute. They really were considering it. But they're going to pass.
Right.
Speaking
but South by would never fund them. That's kind of my point too. They probably have to.
Yeah, South by is it's his own base, but yeah, Canada has taken a little bit of a step back on, I think, U.S. Centric events right now, or anything to do with the U.S. Obviously, just because it's just not a good time right now. But even Canada has pulled out drastically from South by Southwest this year. There's no Canada House. M for Montreal usually puts on 3, 4, 5, events per year. This year we're only given one. It's just something is in the air, and it's there's been a change in management, as you know, James Minor. So I think we're all going there to actually do our homework, experience it, and see where this is going. And like I told you yesterday, Dave, this could be a good thing for the industry. But who knows? We just got to go and feel it out. Sorry, we got sidetracked with so much stuff, but we are talking about that. Yeah,
we have so much to talk about here. You've given me multiple things to respond to. I mean, one, I guess this would be a good time to say this is also going to be the first year since like 2006, not counting COVID and not counting the military thing year, that there was not a Brooklyn Vegan event at South by, which makes me super sad, which is also why we're not doing something together, which is partially related to why you only have one event this year, I think, and as well. And so that said, we could talk more about that. Let's go back to that though. I wanted to say, you brought up Slipknot, and I did want to talk about, we have a history of mass bands. Like I said, when I first saw their video, I had a similar reaction to you. I was like, this looks funny, but I wasn't thinking this is the next big band. I thought back to kind of obscure reference, Yip Yip, and also like the Locusts. And you've got bands like Aquabats and Peelander Z. And you think of like these kind of bands in tights. But then, also costumes have worked really well for bands like Slipknot, the Anonymity, Daft Punk, Deadmau5, Gwar, Slipknot, and like one of the biggest bands of right now, Sleep Token, right? Totally anonymous, totally behind masks. And yeah, you just, this Angine band, I'm going to get it wrong, now pronounce it wrong, the entire episode, they add them to the list of like one of the most successful bands in costumes of the moment. But I think that's, they should keep that going.
I just wonder how they're going to travel, how delicate. That's like papier mâché, right? Like they're wearing like that's pretty delicate.
That's paper mache to you, Dave.
Yeah, I did. I was like, wait, what? Yeah, that's, no, you're right. That is, I guess they have to have big cases.
A lot of it's paint, but the headdresses seem like that they're probably pretty delicate.
Yeah. I'm just wondering how they're getting this. You should see their merch guy. He's got a lamp on his head.
I was
he's a headlamp, their merch guy, and he looks just as funny as them. We can actually see his face. He looks like he grew up in the woods on mushrooms. You could tell these guys have I'll stop there.
Yeah, and I
bet they have good merch.
That's the thing. The merch guy was pretty like busy that night. They had they're selling a lot of merch, especially in Quebec.
We
Yeah.
I try, we have a Brooklyn Vegan record shop and online, and there was no vinyl available to stock. I did try to get it in the shop, so I think once these guys make vinyl, it's going to be flying as well. There's like so much potential there.
Yeah, I'm already seeing the music nerds on the comment. People are very excited. It's great. It's so fun to see people like excited about something new, unexpected. It just kind of hit everybody, and like it's really colorful. And I think we needed that these days because it's been gray as hell, since the start of the year. And anyways, it's refreshing and reminds me to put my headphones more often and ditch the news.
Is there any significance between the symbolism in their costumes? They've got like big noses. Sorry that I don't want to go there, but yellow triangles, the black and white polka dots.
I think Cirque du Soleil has something to do with it. I don't know. You know how Quebec performative performance arts it's really big here. We have our own world of things. People are, I don't know what drugs they're on, but people do some weird shit out here or out in Quebec. And these guys are just using cool prog math rock to something very scenic at the same time. And it just, again, I think people are bored of just, duos and playing the same thing. I think they have to be more original and stand out, right? Because a lot of people do that. And obviously they stood out. And then maybe that's why they rose to success so fast, because they got creative. And that just really blends in well with the Montreal spirit. Bills, you've been there. How many times do you see people in costumes and on Montreal, those people are very eccentric. I think this really shows it off. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that I feel like I have to have seen some band in crazy costumes at M for Montreal at one point over the years. Definitely some bands that wore like outfits like red masks and like tops when they were Silly Kissers.
Silly Kissers. I was gonna say that you were there 2008. Yes.
They dressed as mimes. So
yeah, dude.
And tops. They used to be this band called Silly Kissers, the exact same members, but they dressed as mimes, but they soon got rid of that.
That stuck with me. I'm happy you brought that up because that performance stuck with me ever since. I never had until that point booked something so fun and weird like that. But yeah, that worked.
So where did Angine de Poitrine play at M?
So they played Osgang. We put him in a hip hop venue up in on Saint Hubert Street. It's a little bit more residential than touristy area. That's the Arbutus Records office is right down the street. They owned a little restaurant bar club called Le Système right down the street there. And Osgang is a really cool venue. Really feels like, I don't know, you're in Brooklyn. Has heavy hip hop influence, but they open their doors to anybody now, but it used to be really just underground shit. So at Osgang, we put him up there with another excellent band called Patch, an instrumental band called Patch. They're great from Montreal as well. And that show was so packed, the lineup was insane. We had a hard time even getting industry into that show. I'll never forget, though, I got to bring this up because I'll never forget this moment. I was watching Angine de Poitrine side by side with Simon Raymond of Cocteau Twins / Bella Union Records. Right. And he was, for an older man, he got it. And right away, he wanted to take pictures. He wanted to take notes. It looks like he wanted to send emails. And after the show, I just like, what'd you think? He's like, this is brilliant. He's like, I'm going to write my booking agent friends right now. Like, this is going to be a huge deal. And sure enough, like Simon Raymond sent an email that night, and a good friend of, I believe yours too, John, I think at Rome, signed them. And John wasn't even there. He just went off Simon Raymond's words. He's just like, he trusted Simon. Obviously, Simon's credible. So things just started happening right there on the spot. Even that show, Duncan Smith from Earth Agency signed him on the spot. They were getting everything. That's what M for Montreal is made for. We put him in front of cool people who can make shit happen, right? And we did that with Mac DeMarco, as you know, right? It's very seldom that we have an act that overnight just worked, on the spot. And this is one of those bands. Like it was a no-brainer, and putting him in that situation in front of all those people, I think right then and on, I knew this is going to be a busy 2026 for this band if they're talking to all these people right now. And it just snowballed now because of KEXP and that festival in France, Les Trans. That just threw them out there to the masses, and who knows what's happening next. And I think they are a little not nervous, but they're really grateful for what's happening. They just I don't think they expected this, and they just again they need to stop for a bit and realize what's going on, and just pick up. I don't know. It's just been it's happening too fast for them, I think. And like again, they come from a small town, and they played little bar dives and stuff, and they never expected to be on millions of views on KEXP. This is insane. But again, even Quebec is very as a culture and everything right now. They're very excited that this band is making the headlines as they deserve it. We all knew something special. We had something special, but now knowing that the whole world is seeing it, it's like our little secret has been shared with the world. But we're super happy. Yeah.
So their timeline is really interesting because, like you said, everyone just heard about them right now. Some people might be learning about them on this episode, but they supposedly formed in 2019, but they didn't really begin performing consistently until 2023. They released an album called Volume 1 in 2024. They played M for Montreal in November 2025. The viral moment happened February 2026. This podcast is being recorded on March 5th, 2026. And they apparently have a Volume 2 and their next album coming out on less than a month, or no. Yeah, April 3rd, 2026, Volume 2.
Exactly. Yeah.
Also with really cool cover art drawing of them playing in front of a yellow pyramid and with their yellow pyramid symbols on them. If we didn't already make it clear, in the duo, like you said, they each have monikers. One of them is Angine de Poitrine. And the other guy is Klek, Klek, de P word. KHN plays guitar, bass, and microtonal instruments, and Klek plays drums. What are microtonal instruments?
I'm going to refer to Google on that one.
Bill.
They are used a lot in Indian music for one thing. So basically, if you look at a guitar, like the frets are kind of far apart. Imagine a guitar that has like twice as many frets. So there's like twice as many notes that you can hit. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard have made at least 3 albums of their 300 albums that they've put out in the last 15 years that are specifically microtonal. It's like prog bands, and then there's ultra prog bands, and then there's, microtonal, which really gets into the sort of mathiness, and it takes a special person and a special mind, I think, to be able to play microtonal instruments.
You're making me think King Gizzard really need to take this band out on tour, but also this band's already, yeah.
I'm sure they're doing it too.
It's the same thing. Look, my exact last year was Glass Beams on Ninja Tune. Like, I saw a clip from a festival. I think it was Glastonbury. My jaw dropped. And I bought it. I didn't buy a ticket. I got on the list, but I went to go see them at the next show. I feel like this is kind of like the same thing happening with Angine de Poitrine, but much more math rockier than Glass Beams. But I think they have a similar, like, they're all wearing masks, they're all super mysterious. And I feel like I jumped on Glass Beams. I was so excited to see them. I was all about it. I think that brings a mystique to everybody's appeal right now. I don't know. It works. People don't care what you look like anymore. And I think we should use that as a reference. Music is not to be seen, right? It's to be heard and felt.
Yeah, but specifically, they have chosen a look which makes people stop. And then, like, at first you think, is this the Banana Splits or something? But then you like hear them and you're like, whoa, what are they doing? And it's hard to get your head around like all the stuff that they're doing because they're using loop pedals. And yeah, you have to like watch it 2 or 3 times to really get your head around their sound.
Bill, like, what is their sound to you? We haven't talked that much about their sound. So yeah, I want to hear from Bill.
It is instrumental math rock. It's kind of funky, but in that math rock way that it's all like geometry and angles and complicated, but there's something primal about it too that just like goes straight to you. There's a little bit of like hip hop and stuff like that in there, but also metal and definitely a lot of prog and But yeah, like
Hey, it brings me back to Les Georges Leningrads a bit, which they started like in 2000 and the early 2000s. Like I feel there's some sort of Les Georges spirit in there too. Yeah, that's just my take.
You also mentioned Terra Melos.
Yeah, Sacramento. Nick,
Yes.
those are my friends. Yeah, those are good friends of mine.
And live, Mikey, you said it totally translated. People were
Yeah, live is
loving.
where it's at. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys experiment with mushrooms. I really suggest doing it with Angine de Poitrine. I haven't tried it yet, but I could imagine it could be a big mushroom following band.
Now, Mikey, had you seen them before the M for Montreal showcase?
No, I was in a different country, and I was just looking at the Instagram stories from the live thing, and I was just like, "This is perfect." It was a no-brainer. You just put those costumes on stage, and you don't have to play any music, and people will be like, "Wow." So I just I went with my gut and just like did it without seeing him live, which is rare. But this was again, just look at it, and just the videos alone, this smaller the place looked, the cooler it looked like, and it again, I thought they were going to be a gimmick band, right? But when I saw those stories, like, no, this is actually happening. This is a real band. Let's go. And I never book bands based on just a gut feeling like that. It's hard because you have to see it live to really experience it, make sure it's going to be, quality because we're showcasing this for a lot of important people. So like, I just went for it, and dude, it was the best decision I made that year.
And we're back. Go listen to the rest of that interview on BV Interviews on the Brooklyn Vegan Interviews podcast, our other podcast. By the way, I always get reminded, like and subscribe, please, to both podcasts.
Yes.
Including this one. Go give us some stars on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen. And let's talk new albums now. So Andrew's not here, but we may get a surprise appearance from him in a minute. But meanwhile, this week, mix things up. So let's start with the albums you reviewed in Indie Basement this week. Bill, what do you got?
I got 7 albums for you this week. March is always a busy month for new releases, and this week is no different. My album of the month, or not month, what am I saying? Album of the week is Paris in the Spring, the 6th solo album from Hot Chip co-founder Alexis Taylor. Previous albums from him tended to be spare, very much solo albums, maybe just piano or some guitar. But this has a little bit of everything, dance pop, ballads, and even an amazing cover of Rolling Stones' Wild Horses. There are a lot of cool collaborators on this record too, including the Avalanches, Nicolas Godin from Air, and Green Gartside of Scritti Politti. So many good songs on this record. I really love it. Alexis has always been an empathetic songwriter, and you really feel that on this one. And only he could pull off a song titled "MP3s Can Make You Cry" and really mean it. It's a really wonderful record, and if it's probably the closest sounding to Hot Chip that he's made with a solo record, but it still feels separate from that. And also, Hot Chip are currently working on their next album. So while you wait, check out Paris in the Spring. It's really good.
Have you listened to the new Harry Styles yet?
Just whatever the song was that has the really expensive music video.
All right. Just wondering how you think this compares.
Do you see it as like a two sides of a coin?
Well, they're saying that the Harry Styles album. All right, I still haven't listened to it either, but that it's like
I heard
being
LCD
compared.
Sounds.
Yeah, LCD Sound System, and he's touring with Robin and Jamie XX and all that. So there's
Right.
electropop, whatever influences here.
I should give it a shot.
Yeah. All right. What else we got?
Next up, Cutworms, his 4th album, Transmitter. Cutworms is Max Clark, and he's always kind of had this retro sound, very Everly Brothers or Beach Boys, and his persona and style fits with that too. But this album was produced by Jeff Tweedy at Wilco's Loft Studios in Chicago. The style of Cutworm's song hasn't really changed, but Transmitter feels definitely more modern. He's a great songwriter, and if you haven't checked him out before, this is a really great place to start. Um, Other reviews this week, German indie pop greats the Notwist, their new album News from Planet Zombie. We've also got the latest from Vancouver collective Crack Cloud. It's their fourth album, Peace and Purpose. Erudite indie veterans, the Monochrome Set, are back with Lotus Bridge. We've also got the latest from Liverpool trio The Oriels. It's called Only You Left. And former Peggy Sue member Katie Beth Young's solo debut under the name Tenderness. Those are my 7 reviews for this week.
I got to admit, I haven't personally kept up with the Notwist's catalog since Neon Golden. I don't know at what point.
That's
Maybe
almost 25 years ago.
Maybe the one after that, The Devil, You and Me. But no, I'm definitely going to check out a new Notwist album. So
This one,
that's cool.
this one is notable in that it's the first album they've made with their what they call expanded 11-piece version of the band since 1995. There's not really the glitchy stuff on it, but they do kind of, in a live setting, they've got lots more percussion and orchestral elements, and some of the percussion almost feels like they're trying to do glitchy stuff, but with organic instruments. It's cool. It's a cool record, and it sounds like the Notwist.
Definitely check it out. All right, surprise time. Andrew is not here, but he is this week in notable releases. He has got something, well, all right, there's slightly modified notable releases, but there's something like 12 albums in notable releases this week. Andrew highlights 5 of them in a pre-recorded segment that we are going to start now.
There are so many good new albums out this week, but I'm going to narrow it down to a tight 5 that you need to hear. This is by no means a comprehensive list because even just out this week, there's like a dozen you should not be missing out on. But here's 5, starting with Kim Gordon's Play Me. Kim Gordon, formerly of Sonic Youth, went in like a rage rap direction on her last record, and it was so good. Definitely unexpected to a lot of people, although there's really the essence of her songwriting was kind of the same, even if the presentation's a bit different. This album picks up where that left off, more of that kind of rage rap, trap kind of stuff. But there's also soul-infused boom bap production. There's bouncy synth pop. There's glitch. There's all this kind of stuff. And then Kim tops it off with like just topical musings in her classic deadpan. It's an incredible record. James Blake, who kind of refound his comfort zone on his last album, does it again on Trying Times. It's got the sort of atmospheric electronic pop that made his self-titled debut such an instant classic. It's got some of the dance floor clubby stuff that James Blake has also always been a part of. And there's a collaboration with UK rapper Dave that really sounds like something that could only come from these two. Every year has at least one Arm & Hammer related album, usually more than one. And the first one we're getting in 2026 is a new solo album from ELUCID, which was entirely produced by Swiss producer Seb Bash. It's called I Guess You Had to Be There. It's not quite as far out as ELUCID's last solo record, but still just ominous, sinister, experimental rap in the way that you want from ELUCID. And he just kills it, you know, song after song after song. Billy Woods of Arm & Hammer is on there, as are a lot of other cool guests. Going in a different direction, heavy metal veterans Lamb of God are super fired up on their new album, Into Oblivion. It kind of feels like the state of the world lit a fire under Lamb of God's ass, because this album is very kind of topical, and it just, Randy Blight's vocals, he just sounds as impassioned as ever. There's just like an onslaught of riffs, you know, breakdowns, all the stuff you want for Lamb of God. They just sound so on fire on this record. Sounding like classic Lamb of God, but also not sounding like, you know, you're not just spinning their wheels or something like that. Sounding super fresh. And sometimes I feel like there's a bit of like a doomy Swans influence on there too, which is really, really cool coming from Lamb of God. Last up for this week, again, so many others I'd love to, to be talking about, but Philly, New Jersey emo band Sweet Pills, sophomore record, Still There's a Glow. It kind of finds them combining the dizzying math rock kind of 90s style emo with these more hard-hitting pop hooks that you might associate with early 2000s emo, the genre's kind of more popular era. And they sort of sound like this album could be like one of the best emo albums of 2002 that never was, because all this stuff existed at the time, but Sweet Pill are combining it in ways that nobody was really doing back then. And I think if somebody would have done it this way back then, there would have been a whole lot of other bands that sounded like Sweet Bill. The melodies, the emotion, the soaring voice of their singer, Zaina Youssef, is just, I mean, she is one of emo's best belters right now. And this album is a perfect example of why that is.
Thanks, Andrew. And so, as Andrew just said there in that pre-recorded segment of new albums, that he just highlighted 5 of like 12 in notable releases this week. Amanda, why don't you take us through what else do we got? What other albums are coming out this week that we have in NR?
Yeah, we have a few more. We have the debut album from Hot and Freddie, which is a Los Angeles-based alt pop duo, make irresistible pop music, like just truly really fun. We have the new album from prolific Detroit rapper Bruiser Wolf. He released 2 of our favorite rap albums of last year, and his new album features, it's called Push and Paint, and it features Sada Baby, Payroll Giovanni, Akeem I, Pilo, GT, and Babytron. We had the debut solo album from Los Angeles-based singer-songwriter Morgan Nagler. It's called I've Got Nothing to Lose and I'm Losing It, and it features backing vocals from Allison Crutchfield, Maddie Diaz, and Bethany Cosentino of Best Coast. And we have a new album from North Carolina-based singer-songwriter Angine, just like a beautiful folk album. It's called You're Free to Go, and it's out on 4AD. And we already discussed last week the Sturgill Simpson's new album as Johnny Blue Skies, which should now officially be out on physical media, in addition to on YouTube. If it's still on YouTube, we don't actually know.
Yeah, maybe he deleted it.
Yeah. I could see that happening, honestly. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, well, we're recording a little before Friday, so yeah, we don't know if Friday comes. Hopefully that Johnny Blue Skies album is still on YouTube, or if not, get it at the record store. Who knows? Maybe change the whole plan and it'll be on digital, but I don't think he would walk that fully back.
I don't either.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not like a fully country album, but speaking of some of my favorite country artists, Sturgill is up there with Jason Isbell, who I've been meaning to say, I forgot to mention this last week. I went to go see Jason like a week or 2 weeks ago when he played Radio City Music Hall. He did 2 nights. The first night was completely solo, and the second night was with a full band. And when I realized I was going the solo night, I got a little disappointed because I didn't realize that I had chosen the solo night, if I'm being totally honest. We did post that news on Brooklyn Vegan, but by the time I decided to go, I forgot to see if there was a difference between the 2 nights. Now I was really glad I went to solo night. That was seriously one of the best shows I've been to in so long. It felt like such a special evening. Jason does not need a band. He definitely doesn't need a band to make you cry. That was the first show I got emotional at since Geese last year, which, sorry, embarrassing details. But there were a few times where I was shedding a tear there in Radio City Music Hall, listening to Jason's words, just him up there with his guitar and mic. And he'd tell little stories between each song, which made it more special. And wow, it had been a minute since I saw Jason Isbell, and I have always loved Jason. It just made me love him even more again. And it was like a very country week for me because one night earlier, I went to see Margot Price headline Webster Hall here in New York City. I really loved her 2025 album, and I hadn't seen her since, like the first album. We had her on the Brooklyn Vegan South by Southwest show at that first album, and I was so into that album. That was like 10 years ago or something. And I wasn't like as psyched about every Margot album since, and I just never got the chance to see her. But then after getting totally obsessed with her 2025 one, I made it a point to go, and that was a fun show as well. You also kind of went to, I don't know if we're calling them country, but definitely part of this indie country boom, big album of this year, Amanda.
Yeah, I was going to say, speaking of indie country, I saw Rap Boys. They had announced an intimate New York City show the night before their bigger Brooklyn show at Warsaw, which was with Flory, sold out. They added this Nightclub 101 show, just them, no opener. and it was great. I mean, I think their new album, Singing to an Empty Chair, is definitely one of the best, if not the best, indie rock album of 2026 so far. And they sounded fantastic. They played a lot of songs off that. They did a few deep cuts that they said that they wouldn't play the next night at Warsaw. And it was really great to see them, especially in a small room again, now that they're playing larger and larger rooms, as they should. But it was nice to also see them in a small room.
Yeah, as some BV Weekly listeners know, I'm not as hot on any Rap Boys album as Andrew especially isn't, as you are. But I still do like them, and I know this new album is going to grow on me more and more as the months go on. And it just warmed my heart, though, to see we've loved collectively Rap Boys for a long time, and to see them sell out Warsaw here in Brooklyn, and then even add a second show, and I'm sure that one was packed too, much smaller, but
Yeah, seeing them really having this moment right now is great because I know how long they've been at it, and they mentioned at the show, how long they've been at it. So it's really great to see that all really paying off for them right now, and for them to be leveling up in the size of rooms they're playing. So nice, love Rap Boys.
I also went to one more show, not at Nightclub 101, but at Nightclub 101's sister, older venue, Baby's All Right, a venue that is really important to us here at Brooklyn Vegan. It was booked and co-owned by our good friend Billy Jones, and the last time I was at Baby's was actually his memorial. He sadly passed away last year, and of course I couldn't help but think about Billy nonstop while I was in there, and of the many shows we did at Baby's with Billy. But this was not supposed to be a review of the venue and Billy. I went to see IDK, rapper IDK, who's made one of my favorite albums of 2026. And that was a fun show. It was just IDK and a DJ, no special guests. The album has a lot of huge guests, some of them who are no longer alive, but Black Thought is on there from The Roots, and I think Riz is on there. So there could have been guests for this record release show, but there weren't. But it was fine. It was fun. He closed out with the song in the album that Joey Valence and Bray are on, which I didn't realize until this show was such a huge hit. He introed it by saying, like, you guys made this song, and I like the whole album. When he closed with that song, the place went absolutely insane, and I realized along with his speech that I wondered how many people were just at this show because of that song. Anyway, it was a fun show. I'm glad I got out to that. Bill, have you been at any shows lately?
I have been super slacking, but tonight, if we're talking Friday, I think I'm going to go see my new band, Believe. That's the name of the band, my new band, Believe. And this is the new project from Cameron Picton, who was in Black Midi. So Jordy Greeps had a solo career for a couple years now, and Cameron was playing some US shows last year under his own name, but he's now officially announced his first solo record as my new band, Believe, which comes out in May, I think, sometime further down in the spring, via Rough Trade. And this will be his first US show as my new band, Believe. And that's at this place called Public Records in a different part of Brooklyn. And so I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, that's cool. Is he also playing South by Southwest while he's here?
That I'm not sure.
Okay, because the South by Southwest lineup doesn't have a lot of buzz bands on it these days, if you want to use that term. Like Jordy Greep or Jordy, as you said it. I realized the other day, is on South by. He's got 2 shows in Austin this week. Maybe they're both there.
Could be.
But does that mean we could see a reunion? Is it too soon? Did they break up like a month ago? Are they even broke up?
They broke up. I think it's probably too soon for a reunion.
I'm just kidding. Anyway, all right.
But maybe Michael Stipe will show up at one of those.
Yes. Should I go through the news and new songs and all that right now?
Let's do it.
All right. I mean, the biggest news of the week, obviously, 2000s girl group, the Pussycat Dolls of Don't You Wish Your Girlfriend Was a Freak Like Me fame. A song Busta Rhymes was on. I remember they also had a song with Snoop Dogg. Have announced a reunion tour and new song. And they had been teasing it for a few days. I think I was originally going to say they were teasing a reunion, but right before we recorded this, they actually announced it. They are, in fact, playing Madison Square Garden. And I don't think Pussycat Dolls means a lot to those of us on this podcast. At least, I don't want to speak for you, but I think that's true. But they mean a lot to me because I actually, believe it or not, did once see them live on a bill that you would never imagine. It was Pussycat Dolls opening for Flaming Lips. This was 2005. This was a year into Brooklyn Vegan. So at this point, I'm already going to this show as somebody who's going to write about it on Brooklyn Vegan and take pictures, which I did. It was a private. I don't remember how I found out about it. I think it was invited because at that point Brooklyn Vegan was already a thing. So, and myself and a group of friends, most of whom I still talk to. So this show comes up constantly as like a good memory for all of us.
Where was it?
It was at really fancy party place in Manhattan called Gotham Hall. And I think there was trouble, like all of us were having trouble getting in, but we all managed to get in. So that was part of the excitement of this story. It was a private party. I don't know if it was part of Fashion Week or just, I don't know what the occasion was, but it was put on by Mazda and in partnership with the FDNY, the firefighters here in New York City. And I remember they were like promoting, they might have been promoting a hunky firefighters calendar as well. And so, and there were so many celebrities there. Even actually that blog post is not currently live. We're working on getting some old articles back, but there were a bunch of, I didn't even remember I saw these celebrities, but I took pictures of them, put it on the site. But yeah, I got to see Pussycat Dolls live in this venue before then the Flaming Lips, who we were obviously most excited for, and the real reason we were there. And some of us, not me, also got to be the people who dressed up in the furry costumes and went on stage with Flaming Lips, which was always a fun thing. You know what is still up about that? A post on Gothamist, because I was there with somebody from Gothamist and there were a few of us bloggers all there together. So there's like little pieces of documentation about this show up there. Anyway, Pussycat Dolls are back. Are you guys happy?
I'm so excited. We were actually talking about this earlier this week, and I said to Amanda, I didn't think I knew a single Pussycat Dolls song, but then Don't You Wish Your Girlfriend Was a Freak Like Me? Of course I know that song. I just didn't realize it was Pussycat Dolls.
Everyone knows Pussycat Dolls. How can you not? I mean, what's there to say?
I was reading their Wikipedia before this. I mean, the main singer, I forget her name, she's done like a million things since Pussycat Dolls too. She is part of this reunion, but like they're not things typically on my radar. Anyway, in news that's a little more Brooklyn Vegan friendly, American Football have officially announced their fourth album, LP4, and it's got some cool special guests, just like their last album. This time they've got Brendan Yates of Turnstile, Caitlin from fellow emo legends Rainer Maria, and rising shoegaze star Wisp. On the last album, they had someone from Slowdive, so that kind of shoegaze world collab is something they are doing, and of course that fits right into their sound. The first single, we talked about it on a previous episode. Now the vinyl is on pre-order. We have an exclusive variant in the Brooklyn Vegan shop, shop.brooklynvegan.com. It's only 300 units and moving, so go get that. We also got the first singles in 5 years from both Modest Mouse and Ice Age. These bands don't have much to do with each other, but they both just on the same day released their first songs in 5 years.
Also, the Modest Mouse single, according to the credits, features Janet Weiss, formerly of Slater-Kinney, on drums.
That's cool.
Nothing has been said about that. It was not information that the press release gave, and it was not information that the band commented on, but we did notice that, so that's very interesting.
Was that a little streaming credit sleuthing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, sadly, I think it was about 3 years ago that Modest Mouse's drummer Jeremiah Green passed away. That was a huge tragedy. So this might be the reveal on who is currently filling in.
Or it could just be like called his Portland neighbor, who he knew played drums. So
for sure. And you heard the song, Amanda?
I did. It's short and sweet. It's just under 2 minutes, but it sounds like I would say it sounds like classic Modest Mouse, and I think I think it's pretty promising. I Yeah, I'm curious to see what's next. Hopefully, we'll hear about a new album soon, and I think this could be a very promising kind of opening serve on that. So very yeah.
I was just gonna say the Ice Age song is good. It's called Star. Their last album, Seek Shelter, had elements of like Manchester shuffle beat sort of dance rock, and this doesn't sound like that, but it's upbeat and probably about as joyous as Ice Age gets. It's called Star. Good song.
Back to country for a minute. One of our favorite country singer-songwriters of recent years, Colter Wall, is taking an indefinite hiatus from live music, saying, "The truth is that I am mentally unwell. Despite this, I have pushed myself to continue with touring. As a result, my mental health has only further declined." Sorry to hear that, Colter. It does sound like he's going to continue making recorded music, though, so that's at least some good news, and I hope Colter gets the rest and feels better that he needs. And continuing in that theme, Kacey Musgraves has announced her sixth LP, Middle of Nowhere. It's the follow-up to 2024's Deeper Well and has her back in full country mode with Willie Nelson, Miranda Lambert, Billy Strings, and Gregory Alan Isaacoff all making guest appearances. Personally, it was country Kacey Musgraves that I first fell in love with, however many years ago that was, and so that's great news for me. Amanda also tells me that she's channeling Sabrina Carpenter on the...
Yeah, not gonna lie, I heard this lead single, Dry Spell, where she talks about being lonely with a capital H and sitting on a washing machine, and I definitely was like, oh, has Kacey been, taking notes from Sabrina Carpenter lately? So yeah.
Saucy.
After having MJ Lenderman and Snail Mail cover songs off his fantastic 2024 album Box for Buddy, Box for Star, This Is Lorelei has announced a new super deluxe version of the album with Wilco's Jeff Tweedy, Fantasy of a Broken Heart, Tim Heidecker, Sasami, Mama, and more, covering its songs. Spoiler alert, we've heard it, the whole thing, and it is great. But for now, you can hear Haley Williams cover Perfect Hand with her new Power Snatch project. This is not the only Haley Williams, This Is Lorelei thing going on, because Haley kicks off her solo tour later this month, and the openers on that tour are Water for Your Eyes, which, 50% of Water for Your Eyes is This Is Lorelei. Speaking of, our friends at Alternative Press just launched a cover story with Water for Your Eyes. Go read that over at Alternative Press and check out the videos on their Instagram, clips of that interview. Other big, exciting announcement news, Piebald, who have continued playing shows since reuniting, including their amazing set I saw at Las Vegas Fest Best Friends Forever in 2024, have now announced their first new album in over 15 years called Tales for the Rages. We're really excited about this. And you can pick up, again, we have vinyl, pick up our exclusive Hot Pink and Blue Smash vinyl variant, limited to just 200 copies at shop.brooklynvegan.com, and go listen to the anthemic first single, Still on the Couch, right now. Also back, Connecticut-Boston post-hardcore band Make Do and Mend, who released their third album, Don't Belong, in 2015, but then kind of disappeared after touring with it. You used to see them on bills with like Title Fight, Touche Amore. They've now returned to social media with the announcement that they've recorded a new album called Ongoing, and they will be playing shows, including some that are already announced. They're opening some tours on I Am the Avalanche shows. All those dates and more info is up on Brooklyn Vegan. Another cool show coming up, 2-day New York City Festival Total Bummer was announced this week, happening at the Knockdown Center and co-presented with St. Vitus, featuring a bunch of alternative legends like Dinosaur Jr., the Jesus and Mary Chain, Blonde Redhead, Flipper, Meat Puppets, shoegaze band Drop 19s, and more, alongside newer punk and shoegaze bands like Julie, Star Cleaner Reunion, Tagabow, and more. Day one is kind of like the alt-rock day, and day two is kind of like the more shoegazy day. It happens over Memorial Day weekend at Knockdown Center. Like I said, tickets are on sale?
I believe it's actually the weekend after Memorial Day,
Oh,
Okay.
that's my bad.
but it's close to Memorial Day weekend. It's in May.
After Memorial Day weekend, don't mix that up. All right. You could still do your plans and go see Dinosaur Jr. and Jesus and Mary Chain in Queens. The iHeart Podcast Awards are happening at South by Southwest on 3/16. Sadly, as we said, we will not be there. And sadly, BV Weekly is not nominated. But
Next year.
you can stream the entire iHeart Podcast Award ceremony live for free over at veeps.com. All right. Head to shop.brooklynvegan.com to go get that exclusive vinyl and much more. And Bill and Amanda, thanks for being here today. Thank you, everybody. We'll be back next week.
Thanks for tuning in. Dave and I will be back every Friday morning with new episodes of BV Weekly. And in between the episodes, you can always get much more from us at brooklynvegan.com, on all of our social media, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You can pick up records from us at shop.brooklynvegan.com. And if you like what you hear, tell your friends about us, subscribe to the show, give us a good rating. All that little stuff goes a really long way. It really helps us a lot, and we really appreciate it. So until then, thank you again, and see you next time.